Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. I don't know what you did, Jonas, but you went sideways, bro.
I don't know why. What the hell?
Yeah, switch it. There you go.
But I had it like that. Hold on, because maybe
No, you're good now.
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's all good, man. Welcome to Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today, we have my friend Jonas Medrano from Connecticut, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico all together. How about that, Jonas?
That's right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful for the opportunity, obviously, to know you. You're a fantastic individual, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. So let's get started right away, right? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you come from, where do you grow up? Were you always a multimillionaire growing up? You know, did you have a silver spoon or a golden spoon or what? Like, I want to hear it all, man.
Yeah, no, man. So, like I said, like you mentioned, I'm Jonas Medrano. I'm born and raised in Boston. My mom is Puerto Rican, born and raised in Boston, and my dad is Dominican, straight from Dominican Republic, from Santo Domingo. I was raised in Boston, in the city. There's three of us. I have two siblings, my brother and my sister. I'm the middle child, and yeah, dude, I grew up in Boston. It was great too, because I grew up in the times where, you know, the Red Sox were booming too, when they first won their first championship, and then the Celtics started winning, and then the Red Sox won again. So it was a good time while I was growing up out there. Fast forward to now, dude. I've always been wanting to get involved into real estate. I just didn't know how at the moment, and I was always surrounding myself with.
Hold on. So you went to high school where? In Boston or?
Elementary, middle school, and high school in Boston.
Okay. And when you graduated in high school, what did you do after that?
I was always an athlete. I grew up playing basketball, so I was always in the city playing ball. I was actually pretty good. I'm not that tall. I'm 5'9", but I was pretty good growing up. And that was my thing, just playing ball and going to school. Shortly after that, I worked at Nike Town when I was in high school, and I started flipping sneakers right before everybody started flipping sneakers like how it is now, that it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry. I was doing that before social media, and what I was doing was I was getting the sneakers at the cost of my discount at Nike. So let's say the Jordans at the time were hot and they were $150. I used to get them for $75, my discount, and then I used to flip them to one of my friends that used to have a sneaker store for about anywhere between $225 and $250 per sneaker. So I was getting that profit. So that's how I kind of got it. I kind of got started into, you know.
So was that like your first way of making money? It was just flipping sneakers?
Flipping sneakers. Well, I worked at Nike Town.
Okay. So you worked at Nike and you got a discount because you were a Nike employee.
Yeah.
And then with the same money you used to make from your paychecks, you go and buy some Nikes and flip them for a profit
with the discount that I had. So I was doubling.
Right.
I was getting more than double my money per sneaker. So every time a Jordan came out, I would buy 10 to 15 pairs at my discount and flip them. So that's how I started making my money, and that's how I started, you know, feeling like, okay, listen, I got something going on. I know I have a couple of dollars here. Let me see what I can go on, and I just kept going into different endeavors.
All right. So once you left Nike, what do you do?
Once I left Nike, I went to college for like a year and a half, and I figured it wasn't for me. After that, I had a couple dollars in the bank account. I grew up, I went to high school, graduated from high school. I remember like it was yesterday. I pulled up with a BMW, a nice 3 Series in high school. I was in 11th grade, and my principal, she was a black principal, and me, I'm quote unquote a minority. She came to me and she's like, "Is that your BMW?" The first thing she thought was like, "What are you doing, and how are you getting that car?" Because the first thing they think is that you're doing something bad, right?
Yeah, you're selling drugs.
You're selling drugs automatically, especially half Dominican, half Puerto Rican. We already have that, a lot of people have that misconception or that mindset of, oh, these guys are doing this. always, right? So we already have that, like it's like tainted in us. She told me, she gave me, I'll never forget, she gave me one advice that she gave me was like, hey, don't be surprised if, you know, people think this about you, or you get pulled over by police and this and that. And it was fast forward like a month after, I'm starting to get they're pulling me over, you know, and you know, asking me what I'm doing and putting me over for stupid stuff because I'm like 11th grade with a nice BMW driving around the city, and you know they automatically thought that. But after that, man, I had a couple of dollars in the bank account. My mom was an esthetician in Boston. She was well known, popular, hardworking, and she
But
said,
how did so at that on the 11th grade? How were you able to put the money together?
flipping sneakers.
Oh,
Just flip.
so so how old were you when you started working?
I was 17, but
Okay,
I knew the manager at the Nike store, and he slid me in so I could work because you needed to be 18.
got it.
So that's how
And that was the only bill you had was your car because you live with
I yeah.
your family, right?
I lived with my family, no bills, no nothing. I took advantage of the fact that I didn't have any bills, any rent, none of that stuff. So I just accumulated all the money that I can, that I had at the time, and that's how I got started. Pretty much going on to the next step of my life.
Good deal. Shout out to Mike Alexander who's watching us right now. All right, so then you went to college a year and a half. You figured it wasn't. What were you going to college for?
Dude, I went to business for business, literally for business. But I did it for a year and a half. I went to UMass Boston, which is a good school too. But I was just like, after getting that high of making money, the way I was making money at such a young age, I was like, shit, I feel like I was wasting my time in college when I can be producing money.
Yeah.
Right? But I just, you know, I just figure, you know, I had a couple dollars saved. After from that year and a half, you know, of being in college, my mom, who was an esthetician, came to me with an idea. She was like, hey, listen, you have a couple dollars saved up. Why don't we go into business together? And since she's an esthetician at the time, she came up with the concept of us going into business together and just coming up with it was a strictly hair removal body waxing studio in Boston on Newbury Street, on one of the best, which is one of the best. It's like the Madison Ave of Boston, of New York, pretty much. And I went into business with her, and we created a small hair removal waxing studio. The money that I had, she was operating it. I was the guy with the money behind it. And dude, like we were in business for almost 10 years, her and I, and it did very well. So that's what I did.
Wow.
Money that I had accumulated at such a young age, I put it into work to that, and we were doing good.
How much was that investment back then?
Dude, it was like 40,000, no, like $50,000, dude, to get everything up and running started. Boom.
Right. The
Yeah.
machines, the
The
equipment, the lease, the everything.
all of it, the first and last, security, the lease, all the responsibilities, the marketing, you know, the systems, the iPads, the computers, all of it was, you know, a big expense. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew that I could feel that I can trust my mom, and she was onto something, because after that, a lot of chains started copying our concept. So we were small, but we were powerful and known, and a lot of chains started copying our concept. But that's how we knew we were onto something. We did very good. We went at least 10 years together, her and I working in business together.
And why did you decide to like either leave or part ways or?
Yeah, so I realized, and this is a lesson for everybody to know too, is that at the time I realized that I didn't want to work with family anymore, because I felt that my business, it was affecting my personal relationship with my mother.
Yeah.
Obviously, my mom and my family, you know, they're everything to me. And it's like, what are you gonna do? You can't fire your mom. You can't like
Yeah.
go off on her because she didn't do X amount, you know, X this or this and that. You can't push her a certain way as if you would push a different employee, right? So I realized that it was affecting my personal relationship. And for those, you know, hearing, no relationship, no money should, you know, affect either somebody that you care about, love, or cherish, right? So I at the time I was going to LA. I moved to LA for a year and a half, and I said, listen, I'm going to LA. I want to start, you know, doing real estate, getting into real estate, and I want you to buy me out. So I was like, you know what? Your relationship means more to me than just any type of money, and I don't want it to affect us. So I'm going to LA for a year and a half, because I'm interested in doing something that has to do with real estate. buy me out and we'll part ways. And it was the best decision I ever had. I did because me and my mom have always been airtight. Me and her are tight, and it just made us even tighter.
Good. And
Yeah.
she's still with the business today.
There has the business. She's still doing good, and she's always been a hustler, and that's where I get her from. So she's always going to be good.
Good deal. All right.
Yeah.
So what got you into thinking I'm going to LA? What were you gonna go do there? Like, what were you gonna learn?
Dude, so I was actually I always wanted to be in real estate, always. So the problem with me was that I was always a good student. High school, elementary, middle school, I was an honor roll student, right? But when it came to tests, I'll fucking get. Listen. I don't suffer from depression, anxiety, from anything. But when it came to tests, I'll be nervous. I'll freeze, right? And I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. And I was just like, listen, I'm gonna go to LA, and I'm gonna go, and obviously you see Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills, these big mansions, and you see the lifestyle. And I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna feel it out, and I am going to pursue what I want to do in real estate. So I started going over there. I had a part-time job on Rodeo Drive at one of the clothing stores, and I literally just started. The only way that I felt that I can pass this test, this real estate exist, especially the one in California, because it's supposedly, they say, it's one of the hardest ones, so more pressure, right? I literally, every second and every moment I had, I would study the questions and answers that were going to be supposedly on the test, because I felt that was the only way I can do it, right? So I literally memorized 1,200 questions and answers while working, while living out there, and just trying to make something out of it. And sorry.
So good.
And I literally, dude, I like I said, I studied 1,200 questions and answers, and bro, I passed it the first shot. So I ended up getting my real estate license as an agent in Beverly Hills, and I was working at Rodeo Drive with Rodeo Realty in LA.
So
That was the vehicle, and I knew I always wanted to be in real estate, but I just didn't know how to do it, because that blockage of me being anxious to take the test was like, was a limiting belief for me.
so you thought you had to
That's what
become
I
an
went out
agent
there
to
to do in LA, and I accomplished it.
you thought you had to become an agent. Can you hear me? Hey Jonas, see if you can jump out in and out. Yeah, I think we lost Jonas when he might have had a call coming in or something. But
Hold on, you froze. Can you see me?
I can see you.
You can see me fine. I don't know why I can't see you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go.
Hold on. Can you see me?
No.
Why don't you jump out and jump back in, bro? Like, no big deal. I think if you're using your phone, when the phone call came in, it knocked it off.
No. Let me go back on. Sorry.
So good. Anyhow, guys, it's a great story, right? How somebody comes in and
There we go.
can you see me now?
We're back in the building.
Are you using your phone?
No.
I think something happened when the screen went dark.
Yeah.
It kind of like knocked you off the whole thing, right? So
Yeah.
so anyways, you thought you had to become a real estate agent in order to get into real estate.
Yeah. I knew, because obviously they always say, look, when you the first thing you hear, or feedback you hear from people, is when you hear the word real estate, what's one of the first answers they give you is, that's where the money's at. They always say that, oh yeah, that's where the money's at. So I have to follow the money, and that's what I felt at the time that I wanted to pursue, and that's what I did. I became a real estate agent. I was in LA for a year and a half, but then I wanted to. This shit keeps happening, man.
I don't know what it is, bro. It's weird. Well, he's having technical difficulties. Anyhow, guys, if you're watching live, please go share, like, and subscribe. If you're not, make sure you reshare this video for people that want to learn more about real estate, how they can get in, all the trials and tribulations.
I have no idea what's
Um,
going on with my. I think I know what it. I literally late like last week. I got a new internet service provider and a new password and everything. It's been acting up, so it's probably that. So I apologize.
it's all good, brother. No big deal. It happens. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. So anyhow, so you went and got a license. You memorized 1,200 questions, and what was the next step?
So the next step. So I started as an agent out there. I was leasing, hustling, man, trying to make some money now because obviously real estate is commission based. It's commission based. What you get is what you're gonna make, right? Whatever you kill is what you're gonna eat. And I just started going. I was, it was going good for me, but then at the time, living in LA, beautiful. I'm an East Coast guy. I felt like I was disconnected. I always say to people, it's like 3 hour. It's a 3 hour time difference. It's a 6 hour flight from the East Coast, and I was obviously in the United States, but I felt like I was living in a totally different country, right? So I decided to come back. So when I decided to come back, is when I started out. Over there, it's like a pretty much a mind fuck. You're hearing $20 million, $40 million, $50 million houses in LA, and then if you're gonna lease something, it's 20,000, 30,000, $15,000 leases, right? But then you come back to the East Coast, and it's like $300,000 houses, $500,000 houses, $800,000 houses, and it's almost like a mind fuck, right? So I started as an agent out here. I just felt like I wasn't in control for me, to make whatever money I wanted to make. So after that, I was just like, you know what? Real estate agents to me really don't make money. You have to pay, you have to pay the dues, you have to pay, commissions, you have to pay, brokerage fees, and then it just trickles down. And then even if you make X amount, you're really not walking away with nothing. And then you got to pay the taxes. So I came across this thing called wholesaling on YouTube and on Instagram. And I was like, what the hell is wholesaling? What the hell is YouTube? I mean, not what the hell is YouTube. I was seeing it everywhere. It was popping up everywhere. So I dug deep into it. And then I just started just reading about it, learning about it. And I was just like, I think there's something about this. Because it's like until you see it and until you obviously do it and you have proof of concept, you're like, shit, how is this possible that people are making this amount of money, 17-year-olds, 18, 19-year-olds, young guys, right? And people that honestly half of them don't even know what they're doing and they're still making money. I was like, I gotta dig deeper into this. So I started going into wholesaling, dude. And at the time, I was just like literally
Who were
working,
you learning from?
dude. So I was seeing Max Maxwell. I was seeing at the time Kang. The Kang.
Yeah,
Kang. I was seeing Kang. I saw a little bit of Brett Daniels here and there. I saw a little bit of who else? Those were and what's his name? Flipping Mastery. Forgot his name. But those
Jared Norton.
Jerry Norton. So those three or four guys were the guys that I was just watching time in and time out, day in and day out, and I was doing that, dude, and watching podcasts, YouTube shows, and then reading books. I was averaging 4 books a month, two on personal development and two on anything that had to do with real estate to learn Robert Kiyosaki, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil as well. Those type of books, day in and day out. I was literally doing this 18 hours a day. That in the gym, that's all I was doing. Just learning and soaking up everything. So that's how I came across, obviously, wholesaling.
When did you do your first deal?
So I did my first deal in 2019, right before COVID. I did my first deal, and it was virtual. It was a virtual deal because I had ties to Miami. At some point, I was living in Miami, and I was like, shit, maybe I want to go back. And I know the areas very well. I know Florida really good. And I know, the surrounding areas, Orlando, Tampa, Miami. And I started doing it virtual because I felt like, at some point I wanted to go back. And dude, I did my first deal a month and a half into it. it was a deal that I didn't know was a probate. So I'm thinking, shit, I got a deal. A month and a half into it, I remember I started sometime in October. By the end of November, I had it under contract and I already had it sold to close in December. I didn't know what probate was. I didn't even know what. I was like, shit, I got a good deal. It's gonna happen. I got a buyer. Good. Long story short, when it goes, Florida is a title state. The title company reached out to me and she's like, oh, it has to go through probate. So I had to wait another 3 months to actually get paid from that deal. And it was, I made my first deal, dude, $38,000, and I never looked back.
Mm. So how was were you doing everything? Were you just doing the calling? Were you negotiating? Did you have a cold caller? How did that work?
I was doing everything, bro. Everything, everything. I was calling. I was texting. I was writing. I didn't even have a CRM at the time. I was writing things on my on a notepad. I was putting lists and writing the notes from what counties I was putting the list from. How many records. Remember, I didn't have much money either, so I was being very conservative too how I was spending, because at the moment I was just like, shit, I gotta pay for this system. I got PropStream at the time. I was using Batsleys when Batsleys first started, and they were the first one of the good texting platforms that I was using back then. And these systems were costing money, so I'm just like, shit, like I didn't know that in this business you gotta spend a couple dollars, even if you spend $500-600 for somebody that's not used to spending $500 or $600 on a system or a software. It's a lot of money, right? So I was calling, I was texting, I didn't have a CRM, so I was writing everything. I was writing everything down. I was responding to the text messages. I was responding to the calls. I was going on appointments. I was doing everything, dude. It was just like both feet in, and I was gonna figure this out one way or another. And I was doing it all, dude. And you know what? It was the best thing, because now I know the business from top to bottom. There was no other way, because some people can go into it, but they don't know the operations or anything behind it because they hired somebody, right? I know the inside out of the whole system about anything that has to do with wholesaling. So it was the best thing that happened to me.
Good deal. And at what point did you start adding people to your team?
I started, for me too, like I still struggle a little bit with a little bit of financial fear, right? I'm getting better at it. And at the time I felt that in order for me, in my heart I was like, when I had $100,000 saved in my bank account, that's when I plugged somebody in to help me. And that person was it was a VA, it was a virtual assistant. It was like a lead manager, somebody that can handle the leads for me. But that's when I felt, I was like, all right, you know what? I can afford this. My bills are being paid. Let me add somebody else. And that was the first hire that I made.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
about how big is your team today?
So today, so right now, I don't have an office. I work from my house, from a dining room table. All of my deals, I've done over 500 transactions, and they've all been from my dining room table. I have 3 employees, and I have 3 employees and myself. So right now, 3 employees. I was able to. A lot of people split the company and the roles into lead managers and acquisitions. I managed to merge acquisitions and lead manager as one. So pretty much I duplicated myself, everything that I know, into 2 people. So I have 2 people doing those 2 roles, right? And I have my marketing director who handles everything that has to do with marketing. And all I worry about now is just like I love what I do, and I still love going and talking to people and meeting sellers. And all I do right now, everything's handled for me. Right now, what I do is I just go on the appointments and I lock up the deals in person.
So you went away from virtual to in-person
Yeah,
conversions now.
in person. Yeah, I did one virtual deal. My first deal was virtual. It was in Orlando, and I just I felt like I wanted to be in control. I wanted to meet these people.
Yeah, you felt like you had no control.
I had no control, and I wanted to like to pretty much, like you said, just be in control. Like I'm gonna get this done one way or another. I'm gonna leave it up to me. I'm coming out of there with a contract, especially being new to this business. You know, it's like you feel like you can't trust somebody is gonna work as hard as you or is going to, you know, get it done like you do it. And I just, to this day, dude, I go on all the appointments, and I feel that's why it's been working for me and why I've been successful is because I go into in-person appointments versus virtual appointments or locking up over the phone. And that's why I feel that I'm getting, you know, the amount of spreads that I'm getting per deal. That's what
Got it.
separates everybody else.
So, but today you're actually buying these properties because you say you're not wholesaling them anymore.
Yeah.
You're pretty
No.
much wholesaling, right?
Yeah. So I started out. I started out wholesaling. I started out wholesaling deals. 100% of my business was wholesaling, right? After that, I was able to, you know, have some money saved up to the point that now I flipped my script. I'm literally it was 100% wholesaling. Now I'm literally wholesaling 5%, and 95% of my business is wholesaling and fix and flip. So my average wholesale till this day is $60,000 per deal, right? So now I'm keeping obviously the $60,000, and I'm bringing it together with what I was leaving on the table with the fix and flip or whoever I was pushing the deal to, you know, my end buyer. So that's how I'm able to scale to where I'm at now. So 5% wholesale, I switched my business, and then 95% of wholesaling and fixing and flipping because now I have the cash to actually do it. But coming up, I had to, you know, grind,
Yeah,
come up with a good amount of money. Okay, cool. You know what? I have this amount of money here. Now I can go and do this.
got it. So tell me about a horror story.
Dude, so horror story. I'm gonna tell you right now. So obviously, this is where I'm at now today. This is where I'm at today, right?
Right.
Year and a half ago, I stumbled up. No, 2 years ago, I stumbled upon. I do business. Like I said, I'm born and raised in Boston. I do business in Connecticut, but I'm very close to New York, right? Literally, New York is like literally the next exit away from me. It's that close. It's like welcome to New
Right.
York. Boom, you're right there. I can be in the center of Manhattan in I can be in the center of Manhattan in 40 minutes. That's
Okay.
so you automatically think you're in a different state. You think it's extra far, but it's not, right? So I met these two individuals at a meetup in New York, who were two brothers, right? And supposedly they were doing the same business that I was doing, but just in New York. And me, I've always thought abundance, right? I always thought big. I always wanted to collaborate and you know, make more money, right? And scale. So supposedly these guys, the two brothers, they were doing the amount of money, if not more, than I was in New York. So long story short, they approached me and say, "Hey, maybe we should partner up and do both states." And I'm like, "Shit, damn, that'd be good if we can do both states since we're both together, and we can make more money, right? Because suppose you're doing what I'm doing, but over there, right?" So I get into the business with them, and you know, the further in we got into it with them, and that I was being around them and seeing how they operate, the more I knew, the more I found out that they were full of shit. They were pretty much backing off of what I was doing in Connecticut. And what they were making off of me in Connecticut was floating their New York operation because it wasn't successful at all, right? So they were almost like they were good manipulators and
They
brainwashers.
were riding your wave.
They were literally riding the fucking wave.
Wave riders is what I call people like that.
Yeah, wave riders, right? And they're two brothers, man. They're fucking scam artists. So you know, I'm you know, they own a couple properties. So just by them saying that they own a couple properties, it makes you feel like they're legit, right? Whatever. So long story short, dude, I get into business with them. Um, I end up seeing that, you know, they're full of shit, and I say to them, man to man, I said, listen, I would just want to go back to doing. I said, listen, I appreciate you guys, I respect you guys, but I want to go back to doing business the way I know how to do business in Connecticut, and I'm just gonna stay put. You guys do what you do. I'm just gonna go, right. I then go to approach them, and I say, listen, let's have a meeting. I remember this like it was yesterday. Let's have a meeting. I reached out to them on Friday. I said, let's have a meeting on Monday, face to face. I tell them this, that you know I am, you know, I'm gonna go back to doing things how I'm accustomed to doing. They this was around 11 a.m. By 12 p.m. I found out that they downloaded my CRM, my whole CRM, my
Wow.
Connecticut database, my whole Connecticut database, right? Prior to that, the hour before, we had agreed. They asked, the first thing they asked, because they're really pieces of shit. They asked was, what are we gonna do with the leads that we acquired while we were together? I was like, you know what? Take 50, take half and half. I'm fine, whatever. Remember, these guys never even did business in Connecticut. They don't even know anything about Connecticut, but they knew that there was money here because of me and my operation. So they did by 12, dude, they wiped my CRM. They took all my leads, right? I had added them because I was seeing them. They're younger than me, and I was seeing them as younger brothers, right? And helping them out in life and guiding them, and and being there for them. I had added them, which obviously right now is, I would never do it again. I had added them to my American Express Platinum.
Oh, wow.
But we had the same bookkeeper, right? But that bookkeeper that was in house, she started working off with them, right? So she was almost like technically their employee. And she would always pay the bills monthly, no matter what, doing the right thing. They racked up my American Express almost $200,000.
Wow.
And the American Express, you got to pay it every month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to pay it every month. If not,
I know.
it's 30%. You know what I'm saying? And so they racked it up. They did that. I was in an investment with them, and then my business, and I gave them access to my business line of credit, which was around $20,000 at the time. And then I got involved with them in a project in the Hamptons, which was a very nice house. It's very well known. It's called the Glass House in the Hamptons. I pretty much funded that deal. I funded about $200,000 of my own money. I made sure all the contractors were being paid. I was traveling 2 hours, to make sure the project was getting done, managing it, right? When it's all said and done, dude, and I told them that they didn't want to, that I don't want to work with them. There was $97,000 due from their part on the American Express the following week. They didn't pay it. They didn't end up paying any of this. I never got any of my money back. So I was like in debt 2 years ago, $500,000 cash.
Thanks to them.
Thanks to them, liquid cash, right? So knowing that I knew they had the money, I approached them and I said, listen, where I grew up, if you step on my sneakers, a lot of things are going to happen, let alone if you owe somebody $500,000 cash, right? So, I still had that mindset of like, shit, like, bringing me back.
Hustler.
Yeah, that mindset that, dude, like, I'm going to take matters into my own hands, right? I approached them. I go to the office and I said, listen, I set it off on them. I didn't threaten them or anything like that, but I went off on them. And I said, listen, you're going to pay me my fucking money. They got, I was saying a bunch of shit, but I made sure that I didn't threaten them. So I went off on them. I didn't hit them. I didn't do anything like that. One of the brothers got scared. He calls the cops, right? And I was like, shit, okay, cool. He leaves the building running, calls the cops. I'm with the bookkeeper trying to tell her to pay me my money, right? Within 5 minutes, about 25 cops show up outside. You would think I robbed a bank.
Yeah. I'm
completely innocent, dude. I didn't do nothing.
Of course, you were the one that was camped.
Right. About 25 cops come up. The fucking K9s come. The K9s come like I was the actual criminal. Like I did something wrong. But he was a little bitch and he called and he said that I was threatening him. So, automatically you think, oh, boom, threat, or, somebody's in danger. They arrested me. I didn't go for too long. I went for for 1 day. They locked me up. The fucking K9s was the one that come in here. He almost bit me, the dog. And I'm fucking behind a cell. This was on a Friday. So mentally, I'm already prepared to come out on Monday. Because if you locked up for on a Friday, especially close to afternoon, my mind was like, fuck, I'm coming out on Monday. So
you're out for the weekend.
I'm chilling I'm fucking there for the weekend. So I mentally checked out and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna be here till Monday, and I'm gonna get I'll figure this shit out on Monday. So long story short, dude, I was able to get out the end of Friday. I didn't get a record, which was good. But dude, like it was one of the most stressful times in my life because I was in debt $500,000. I was betrayed by people that I trusted, right? They stole my book of business that I busted my ass. Not only money that I put into it, but time.
Yeah.
It's like imagine it's like a kid that you grew up that you know that out of a sudden you gave birth to, you grew, you made sure he grew up, and you taught him everything. Then all of a sudden the kid gets kidnapped. Not the same, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's an example, dude. So I aside of that, dude, I had a lot of pressure because I had to deal with that, and on top of that, my life plus my business, right? So it's a very stressful time for me.
Yeah, you had to go close on deals. Now you gotta pay this $500,000 that you owe, and
but not only that, dude. It's like just trying to keep my fucking life afloat, right?
of course, yeah, because you're dealing with a setback, right? And now you're like, man, I got screwed over here, and your mindset is not in the same space as the mindset of somebody that's having success now.
Exactly, and I was on edge, dude. I was on edge. Think I couldn't. Everywhere, anybody that was next to me and near me, I couldn't trust them. I thought that everybody was out to get me, right? And dude, another thing is that they stole my book of business. So literally, I was working against myself.
Yeah.
So literally, I had to retrain, rehire people, and redo my CRM. So I pretty much, obviously, I had the knowledge and the foundation, right? But I literally had to restart my business again from scratch. It came to a point that I was going after a lead. I speak with the owner, and she told me we asked her who she was talking to. She told me it was one of the guys. So literally, I was working against myself. So that was one of the most stressful times in my life, dude, that I dealt with.
That was when 2021.
Yeah. No, this was what are we, 25? No, dude, this was on end of 22, going into 23.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a complete nightmare, dude. But I knew that I had to keep going and I had to keep fighting and I couldn't give up.
You know what, brother? And I'm glad you share that story, right? Because not everybody that comes here opens up and shares something like that, right? And by the way, I want to give some shout outs to Carlos Balsan, who's listening to us from Venezuela, Jason Toledo in Dallas, Matt Andrews, the man of the family here, that's why you and I got connected. Thanks to Matt. We love you, brother. But the one thing, right? Not everybody is vulnerable, so I appreciate you for opening up and telling that story. But that's how we all go through life, man. Like especially when you're at the top. I was having this conversation yesterday with one of my mentees about wave riders. She's throwing up this meetup, and I'm not gonna mention any names because whatever. But she calls me and say, "Hey, Ricardo, I got somebody that wants to come and collaborate with me on the meetup." And I said, "Really?" So I quickly said, "Send me a message. Like, let's connect over here because I want to see what the intentions are." Right? I was like, "Number one, why do you need this person to help you on the meetup?"
Yeah.
She said, "Well, very influential, this and that." And I was like, "Okay, but what are they bringing to the meetup? Like, are they bringing money? Are they bringing, like, are they helping you with the logistics of it? Because if I tell you, hey, Jonas, let's go throw an event together.
Yeah.
I already do my own events, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, Ricardo, I want to go do this event with you. I said, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
What are you bringing?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Can you tell me what you bring? I said, yeah, Jonas, just give me 50 grand. I'll put it towards the event and then we'll make it happen. You might be like, 50 grand? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? These events cost anywhere from 50 to 100 grand. So if we're going to partner up on an event, might as well, let's pony up the money up front, right? Yeah. So this is what the conversation was with her. I said, look, be careful with the wave riders because once they see you doing things, they quickly want to come become your partner or your collaborator or whatever and take away all the hard work that you're putting in for you.
dude.
And that's exactly what happened to you. It's just that it happened at a much bigger scale because you trusted them.
But I completely agree with you, dude. And it's like the more I am evolving in my life, the more I am seeing that. And it's like, yeah, they say, okay, at the top it's lonely, dude. It could be lonely, but you just have to be aware, right? But it's like you say, dude, the moment some people are seeing you like climbing up the ladder, dude, it's like leeches. And it's hard, bro. It's like it's hard to differentiate
I
who's
put a
here for the
buffer,
right reason.
I put a buffer to that. So I said, and by the way, I'm not saying the person that wants to collaborate with her is like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I actually know I know the person,
Yeah.
and he's a friend of mine. And I believe he's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I said was like, look, okay, if you're gonna have a collaborator, put a buffer in it.
Yeah.
How do you put a buffer? Ask for money. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna come collaborate? Hey, give me a contribution to the event. Give me a contribution to the meetup.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to put you on my stage
Yeah.
if you collaborate, right? And watch them run away.
That's isn't it crazy how that works? Like it's like they just want to take, but they don't want to give.
They don't want to give, right? My event at 10 Growth is 100% from collaborators. 100%.
Yeah.
I was telling you yesterday on the phone when we were having a different conversation.
Yeah.
It's hey, they all come and they pay for their time on stage.
Yeah.
And that's how I know I whip the bullshit from the legitimate guys.
I 100% agree.
Oh, you're a 7-figure guy.
Mhm.
Can I get $5,000, $6,000, whatever, right? If you're a 7-figure guy and you have a problem giving $5,000 away, you're not really a 7-figure guy,
That ain't shit.
right? You know, and then they do like no problems. What do I need to do? Because they know it's like the abundance mindset that you apply with those guys, right? They know, man, if I give, I'm gonna get back. Things are gonna be okay, right? With you, what happened is you misjudge them. That I mean, it's happened to me too, bro. It's like
Yeah.
now the way it's happened to me is not the way it happened to you, but we all misjudge people at some point.
Yeah.
And we end up getting bit by the snake.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, I learned that lesson now. I'm not gonna. That was a very expensive lesson for you, right?
Yeah. It was the most expensive lesson ever. And it's never gonna. To me, it's not obviously it's never gonna happen to me again because I'm cautious. Maybe it will, but not to that extent.
I'll tell you a story that happened to me. Is similar in a way,
Yeah.
okay? But I had all these private lenders that will loan me money for deals, right?
Mhm.
And because I am a person of an abundance mindset, one day I decide we move into a new location. We had a warehouse, and then we move into this big building that I wrapped all the windows with "We Buy Houses Cash," and like it was badass, bro.
Yeah.
And when I opened it, I threw a party for all our private money lenders, and they all showed up. And they ate the paella and the food and everything we serve. And I had a private chef that went and cooked all the food, and we had some drinks.
Yeah.
And at that party, they all got together and met and exchanged phone numbers.
Oof.
This is in 2016, December, because it was like a Christmas party.
Yeah.
In August 2017, Hurricane Harvey comes to Houston.
Mm.
And I have 47 rehabs going. At the beginning, nothing happened, but with time, I started falling behind on payments. I started falling behind on completing projects. I had no people to work my project. So I started going through a lot of shit.
Yeah. I could imagine.
Some of those lenders sort of got together to fuck me, basically. Right? Because, I wasn't performing.
Yeah.
So here I am throwing a party for them, doing an appreciation. They all get to know each other. And now, not even a year later, half of them are against me. Not all of them were. Like some of those guys were like, no, I'm not gonna participate on that. Like
Yeah.
we know Ricardo's gonna come through at some point, and I mean it's a hurricane that disrupted everything. So most people understood, but some of them didn't. And actually some of them are still bitter today.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come on the chat and they start posting shit. I don't even pay attention anymore.
Oh, they do.
Oh yeah. They're like
They don't
straight
got
up.
nothing-
Like,
They got nothing else to do with their
yeah,
lives.
they have nothing else to do.
They fund you
They're
and they want to keep it.
bro, their
going
job.
below you.
They were never lenders to begin with. Like they should have never got into this business if they didn't
Yeah.
understand it, right? But anyhow, that's besides the point. So I learned a very expensive lesson at the time.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
If I ever go into what you do right now, which is wholesaling, buying all these houses and all that, I would never put two of my lenders together in the same room.
Never. No.
Never again. Why? Because I did it in an appreciation way.
Yeah.
Because they helped us grow, right? And we were buying all these houses and all of this. But the moment things went south, man, some of those guys were like, let's gang up and let's see how we can do a class action lawsuit and like all kinds of crazy things. I was like, guys, you guys got first lien positions on these things. Like,
Yeah.
all you have to do is take your property back.
Just take them back.
Take it back. But what are you talking about a class action lawsuit? Like, what the freak is that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, so in a way, what happened to you sort of happened to me as well. But
Yeah.
it was different. And it was because we were coming from an abundance mindset point of view, right?
Let me ask you this: obviously you've been in the game a little bit longer than me? What, and obviously after sharing that story, which I appreciate that you did, thank you. What after that? How did that shape you? What did you learn after that? And how did it make you, who you are now?
Yeah. So number one, I had to pivot, right? So one of the things was, even when we finished rehabs and we will put them on the market, now the properties weren't worth the same. So the ARVs, if a property ARV was 300, now it was like 240. So my equity was gone, right? And by the time I sold them, sometimes I had to bring money to the table just to close on them. But we had a lot of them. That's the thing. We have 40, 50 houses, and they're all on the same boat. And a lot of those houses weren't finished.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't have the money anymore or the people to finish these properties. You know why? Because I kept on paying the interest payments for as long as I could.
Yeah, because as I am, your reputation,
I wanted to honor my commitments.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the first thing I should have done when Harvey came in was stop all payments. That was it. Like, I should have just done that from the get-go. I'm going to stop payments. I'm not going to make a payment. You guys wait until we solve this, because there's 300,000 homes that are flooded right now in the Houston area, and I don't know what's going to happen in the market. But I didn't have a crystal ball, so I didn't know. I had money, and I have more private money lined up. So I said, you know what? I should be okay. I could be refinancing out of these things if somebody needs their money or whatever. But now looking back, I should have listened to my business partner, Dennis, who's still my brother from another mother. He told me, Ricardo, let's stop all payments. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because I want to honor my commitment to my lenders, right?
Yeah.
Now looking back, I should have listened to Dennis, because, at the end of the day, they were still mad at us.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what we did. They were still mad at us, right?
Yeah.
Now, we were able to satisfy, I would say, 98% of those debts, all right? It was just that 1-2% that it don't matter what you do, you're not going to satisfy those guys.
Right.
But what I did, I had to pivot. So we had to become wholesalers. And I didn't even like wholesaling.
Yeah.
But I was like, the only way I can bring 100 grand to 200 grand every month is by doing 10 to 20 contracts.
Yeah.
Because in Houston, the assignments are not as big as on Connecticut. The assignments here are like 20, 30 Ks, maybe 17.
Which is the average. I think that's actually the average.
17.5 is the average nationwide.
Yeah.
Because we do wholesaling nationwide. So that's average. If we do 17.5, we're okay. If we do 10K, okay, maybe we're in a state that doesn't really support those numbers or whatever. But long story short, Jonas, we had to pivot to wholesaling. And we wholesale since 2018 late all the way until 2023.
Yeah.
I quit for a whole year because I was building my VA company. And I didn't want to get distracted with one and the other. And kind of like the universe was pushing me towards that direction. And I said, you know what? I need to quit. I gained a lot of weight because of the anxiety.
I bet. I can only imagine.
I was eating like a freaking maniac.
Yeah.
I put on 60 pounds that I didn't have maybe in 2021 or 2020. Okay.
Wow.
We were still solving some of those debts. Okay. Because some of those guys, shit, there's one guy I'm still paying.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He's a guy I used to owe $3 million. I only owe him 18,000 right now.
Wow. But look, you still man of your word, and you still,
Oh yeah, like hey, I said, hey man, I will pay you. I will pay you as I produce. I will pay you. And
yeah,
it hasn't been perfect,
yeah,
but there are two people that I decided not to pay.
yeah,
Why? Because they went on a whole different route.
yeah,
Let's go sue him. Let's go do this. Let's go talk a bunch of shit online. Let's go
Yeah.
create all this drama, right? And I said, all right, I guess you're collecting your money that way. I'm
Yeah.
out, right?
yeah.
And by the way, I talked to that guy last week on the phone.
Oh,
We talked for like an hour with the guy that I still owe 18 grand.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I can sell my watch and pretty much pay him. But
Yeah.
he's like, no, let's
Yeah.
just, you're gonna pay me whenever you can, and let's just finish it out, right? So we pivoted. We went from fixing flippers, wholesaling. By the way, I started as a landlord in 2008.
Oh, you did.
So I was a landlord with a W-2 for
Wow.
many years.
Wow.
And I had the golden handcuffs where I was working. I was making 300 grand a year. I love my job. I was not a corporate hater or anything like that.
Yeah.
I love what I did in the corporate world. And guess what I run today? I run a corporation.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have a corporation mindset, like how would I run a corporation now with my VA company and our events? Because our events are also a corporation now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
But but it's like I say, like you have to go through that.
Yes.
In order to know and to be where you're at right now.
That is correct.
But there's a thing like your story, it's inspiring because you came out of it. And hopefully mine is inspiring to others that are going through it or maybe going through it.
Or they will go through it. Because look, in life, and I forgot where I read this, but in life, you're coming from a storm, you're dealing with a storm, or you're headed towards a storm.
Yeah, I agree.
What matters is how you handle the storms.
Yeah, you got to weather it, like I say, weather it.
You got to weather it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember in 2019, going on to COVID 2020, I had no money, bro. Like I didn't have $50 to my name.
2020?
Yeah. Actually, in between 19 to 2020, I didn't have $50 to my name. I was producing money, but it's like as money came in, it was just going out, because I was satisfying all these debts.
Yeah.
Right. And I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and this is something I never shared online. I don't think I have. I've told people about it, but I don't think I've ever done it on a podcast.
Yeah.
This one particular night, I wake up at 3:00 in the morning. I was like, boom, I'm wide awake. And I'm not an early morning kind of guy. I'm a 8, 9, 8, 7,
Whenever you feel like waking up.
Whenever I feel like I want to wake up, that's when I wake up, right? Now, if I have to wake up early because I got something coming up, I'll put the alarm clock and boom, I'm up, right?
Yeah.
But I don't do alarm clocks anymore. I'm just going to wake up from my own time clock.
Yeah.
But that morning, 3:00 in the morning, man, I woke up and I was wide awake and I couldn't fall asleep. And I'm like, you know what, man? If the universe is telling me to wake up and get up, I guess that's what I'm doing. So I got up and I started my morning routine. And my morning routine consists of, as soon as I wake up, I read 10 pages of a book.
Beautiful.
Then I listen to, I'm sorry. As soon as I wake up, I practice gratitude for about 5 minutes. I just thank God and the universe and all of the, thank you for my wife, for my roof, for my children, my business, my friends, my new friends now, like you, all of these things. I start thanking, the universe. And then I go and read 10 pages of a book. Because if I don't do it right on the spot, right there on the spot, man, I don't do it throughout the day.
You gotta do it, yeah.
I get distracted too easily.
Yeah.
And then after that, I go exercise.
Beautiful.
And at that house, I had a gym on the second floor. So I go up to my gym and I turn on the TV. I put on Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was my best friend at the time. He just didn't know it.
He didn't know.
I put Tony, and man, I start lifting weights and exercising, right? And I guess that gym was like over my wife's and and our bedroom. And I guess I was dropping the weights, and she woke up. Like she woke up probably around, I don't know, 5:30.
Yeah.
And I saw the door open like this, like very slowly, like, and she like picked in, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I was sweating, bro. I was like in the mood.
You were in it. Yeah.
I was in the zone, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "What does it look like I'm doing?" I'm doing my hour of power. That's what because Tony, that's how Tony calls it, the hour of power, right?
I like that. Yeah.
And she was like, "You need to go get a job." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your exercise. You need to go get a job because we don't have any money right now. And I said, "Look, do me a favor, close the door. We'll talk about this later, okay?" Because I was just about to just go off on her, but I said, "You know what? I'm not gonna do anything stupid. I love my wife."
Yeah.
She closed the door. She went downstairs. And about 6:30 to 7 in the morning is when I finally went downstairs, and she was in the kitchen already, like getting things ready for the day because she couldn't sleep either.
Yeah, I bet you. It was a stressful time, of course.
Very stressful. I mean, we were still in our house. We had a lot of debts and a lot of things happening. I had no money in the bank. She went to put gas one day, and she's like, "Hey, what debit card do I use?" And I was like, "Any debit card." And she's like, "You obviously haven't seen your bank accounts because they're all red." Like, and I was like, "Okay, I guess you're not going out today. So just stay home." Right. So it was, I mean, we were in a very bad financial situation. And I went to her and I said, "Look, even if I go get a job, I wouldn't be able to afford this place to begin with."
Yeah.
At the time, that house was like $6,000 a month.
Shit.
So how do you pay for something like that, right?
Yeah.
The vehicles that we drive,
Yeah.
forget it. Like they're in the thousands each.
Yeah.
How do I pay for that with a job? Like, help me out here. Like, I want to understand.
Make this make sense.
Yeah, let me make sense of me getting a job, and I will go get a job.
Yeah.
Well, you had a great job. I was like, that job ended in 2015, and it's no longer available.
Yeah.
And those companies are no longer paying what I used to make back then. And by the way, we made a lot of money in between 15 and now. It's just that because of all these loans and all of these things, we're not in the same position anymore. Now, if you want to go get a job, be my guest.
Yeah.
It will help. But me, I actually create jobs.
Yeah.
And I just got to stay the course.
Yes.
And I got to go through this storm.
Yep.
And you're not going to lose your roof. You're always going to have a roof over your head. We may lose a car or two here. If I got to sell more watches, bro, I was going through Rolex. I see you're wearing one. I was going through Rolex on a monthly basis.
You was selling your watches.
Selling them just to pay bills, to pay mortgage, to pay. Like, if you see my watch winder, that watch winder is about this big.
Uh-huh.
And the only ones that I didn't sell were the Hublots and the APs. And you know why? Because they lose value. They don't keep the value like the Rolex.
No, the Rolex is,
So a Rolex is one of the best investments you can make because you can wear it for free almost.
Yeah.
You can go. When did you buy that one?
This is a 24. This is a 24 Skydweller.
Okay, so when you bought it, you probably can go sell it today, and you get as much or more money.
They went up. They already went 7. Got this at the end of 24, and it already went up 7%. That's just a resale value. That's not
but I'm talking about off market. Like,
yeah.
Off market is way more.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, just at retail, it already went up 7%. They brought. I think it was 7 or 15%. Off market is even fucking more.
Well, so that's what I was doing. I had Batmans, I had GMTs, I had Submariner, all those, bam, 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 every month. Until I ran out of them, and I said, all right, I don't have any more Rolex. Then I looked at my art. I have a lot of art. Actually, if I click back here, there's one back there. There's another one here. Those things are worth money.
Yeah.
But selling art is not that simple.
No, it's not. It's a particular person too.
It's a very particular person that buys it.
Yeah.
And but I started looking at all my walls in the house, and I was like, man, I got a lot of money hanging up in the walls right now. I think that's my next step.
I gotta turn this into cash.
And yes, but I understood that if I started selling my art, I wasn't gonna get, because I'm a motivated seller now. So
yeah.
Okay, I paid 30 grand for a piece of art, I'll give you 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for that other person might not mean as much.
Right. I agree.
So I kept all my art. And that's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. I got rid of the watches, and it's like if I use the watches for free.
Literally, yeah.
Literally, for years I used them, and then when I sold them, I got more money out of them. I remember I bought my first Batman. I bought it for $8,500 in Aruba. When I got rid of it for $13,000.
Easy, yeah.
And I said the first one because then I went back and bought another one. So I love that watch for some reason. That blue and black is beautiful, right?
Blue and black, yeah.
But then I told my wife, I said, look, I gotta stay the course.
Yes.
I gotta go and figure this out. And I need your support.
Yes.
I don't need you to drag me down. When you tell me that I have to go find me a job, you're dragging me down because you're not supporting me. You're like, and she's like, you know what? You're right. I will not say that again, that you have to go get a job, but we got to figure this out fast because I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to do this. And I was like, let's not focus on what we don't want.
Yes. Perspective.
Because what you focus on, it expands.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you focus on, I don't want to lose my car, guess what happens?
You're going to lose your car.
You're going to lose your car.
Yeah.
When you focus on, I don't have enough money, guess what? That expands more. When you focus on, oh my God, I'm afraid of this.
Yeah.
Bam, it just goes exponential. But when you focus on, all right, I need 10K by Monday so I can pay my mortgage and my cars and this and that. What can I do? And now your mind shifts completely into a whole different ball game, which is, where is my money? Where do I go find it? Right.
Yep.
And the same thing applies for your $500,000.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're out of it already, but you're still probably dealing with some of it, but you're not where you were 2 or 3 years ago.
Not at all. Not at all. And dude, what you're saying speaks volumes. Number one, and like I said earlier, man, thank you for sharing this, because obviously you're relating to my story, but I can again go back and relate to you. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing what you're saying now. So thank you for that. And I completely agree with what you're saying about shifting your perspective and shifting your mindset. I always say, you change your mindset, you change your perspective, you change your life, right? I journal. So I journal once a week, right? I don't have to do it every day, but for me, it works once a week, every Sunday religiously. When I'm traveling anywhere, like, we saw each other 2 weeks ago in Florida.
Yeah.
And I arrived Sunday on the plane. I was journaling. It's just and the way I journal is I journal as if things already happened to me. Right?
Oh.
So that's how I shift. That's how I shift my mindset. So I create a vision board. Every January 1st, I create a vision board of things that I want of each year, how I want my life and my date.
I even have it on my phone, bro.
Fire.
Look at that. I got vision boards all over in my computer. You know, you know what my wife told me? I'm going to Spain on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what my wife told me a couple of days ago?
What?
Oh my God, I had it on my vision board to go to Spain.
Yes. Dude, I was having this conversation about.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, really? Oh, I didn't know that, because I didn't, I don't ask her, hey, let me go see your vision board all the time. Like, we should, but to stay on the same, on the same
frequency. Yeah.
The same frequency, right?
Yeah. No,
but
dude, that's amazing, dude. That's so amazing that you do that. And I go, I have a vision board every January 1st to see how my year's gonna look, and I journal as if it already happened. So they say, like, getting into this business, right? I journal. I have $1 million. It feels good. I am right where I'm supposed to be. I am on God's time. Like,
affirmations. You're doing affirmations and you're writing them down.
Yeah, and dude, it's like, obviously you I'm sure you, because you do this, and obviously
I do it on a daily basis. Dude, for me, affirmations are like taking a shower.
Literally. And dude, isn't it insane how, when because obviously you obviously gotta put the work into it. It's not just like, I want to
Yeah,
switch dollars and boom, right?
write it and wait until it happens. No.
Boom. But bringing it out of your mind and into paper, it's insane how it works. It's just a universe that you
I
guys
have a
want.
friend. I don't know if you know him. His name is Nick Perry, and
I don't know.
he's probably one of the guys with one of the largest wholesaling operations in the country.
Okay.
And they also buy properties, and they teach other people, and amazing human beings. Him and Brandon. But Nick, I saw him one time. He came. I think it was one of the events. He came to a couple of my events before,
Yeah.
and he was carrying this like agenda notebook something, and we were talking, and then all of a sudden he left and sat down and just started
Yeah.
writing. And I noticed that, and I went to him and I said, "Hey, bro, what are you writing? It looks like you're repeating the same thing over and over and over again, because he looks like he wrote the same over and over." And he said, "I do this 3 times a day.
Wow.
It's my declarations and my affirmations."
Huh.
And 3 times a day, Jonas. Like, I
Wow.
was like, shit, man. And look at my book. And he showed me,
Yeah.
he said, if you start doing this, Ricardo, your life will change. And I still don't do it, but because I do it in a way different in the morning.
Yeah, you do it in your way. Everybody does it in their way. Like me, I do it once a week, and
But
that works.
he's a freaking beast, bro. He's an
Yeah.
animal. I mean,
Yeah.
like, this guy is like the energy when you're gonna meet him at some point,
Yeah.
because he's in multiple circles, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, when you see his energy, you're like, wow, like, complete. Like, you see these people that are very successful,
It
their
makes sense.
energy just comes out, right?
Yeah. It's an aura about them. It's an aura
The
about them.
projection, yeah, it's a projection that we have, right? So, um, he's the one. So I used to be like you. I used to do a lot of local,
Uh-huh.
and I would go on appointments, okay,
Okay.
and I would lock up the deals. Same mindset as you. If I go
Yeah.
into the house, that I'm coming out with a contract, right?
Yeah.
And one time he came over to Houston to do a podcast. So I've been podcasting for a long time.
Yeah.
And he asked me, say, "Hey man, how's your business going?" And I told him, "Hey, we're doing all these deals," but they were all local. And he's like, "And who's locking them up?" And I said, "I am. I'm locking them all up." And he looked at me and said, "Hey man, you're wasting your time, bro." And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm
Mm-hmm.
making money. I got all these deals under contract." He said, "I do what you do 3 times over, and it's all virtual."
Mm.
Now, they did have an office because the commodity and all that, right? So,
Right.
and I looked at my COO at the time and I told Shane, because I was tired of going on all these appointments.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't even want to go on an appointment, and I had to go on an appointment and kind of like pump myself up to go, lock up the deal. And I told Shane, I said, "Shane, let's go to Nick's office, man." Because he offered, he's like, "You want to come to the office for a couple of hours and look at my operation? You're more than welcome." But a guy with your ability to scale, because we had scale locally,
Yeah.
you could be doing this nationwide and making all kinds of money and not have to go to an appointment ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And he had my attention, and we went there. And when I went there and I saw it, and I saw these kids locking up deals, and because they were 18, 19, 20 years old,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they were on the phone and they were like celebrating, and where's that deal at? "Oh, this is in Alaska. We just sold this in Alaska." I said, "Alaska?" Yeah, and then we got this in California, and we got these deals in Florida, and we got these deals in Georgia. I had done virtual already, okay,
Yeah.
but not like they were. And I looked at their pipeline, and I was like, "Bro,
Wow.
you got like millions in the pipeline."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, that's normal for us. We close 3 to 4, 500 grand a month on a consistent basis. It's all virtual. It's all over the phone. We don't ever go to a property. It's all on the phone. Contracts coming back and forth. Bam, bam, bam." All I had to do was see, Jonah. I didn't have to even
Yeah.
like interview anybody. Like, how do you do this? What is this process? As soon as I saw that, I said, "That's it. I'm doing it." And
That's it.
me and Shane went back to our office, and we completely shifted our operation into a whole virtual game.
Wow.
And we went from having $100 to $200,000 on the pipeline to having 1.5, $1.6 million on the pipeline at any given time.
Wow.
And it was because we just went wide.
You just went wide, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I didn't follow his recipe 100% because he's more PPC.
Yep.
I was more cold calling, texting, all of that, right? But I had a texting platform at the time that it was ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I could send as many text messages as I wanted to, and it wasn't going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Right.
So our cost per contract was like $750 at the time, and $17,000 assignment. Do the math on the ROI on that. It was like 35x. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Right. But all I had to do was see it from somebody else, so I could believe it. I was like, shit, if he's doing it, I can do it too, right? I even signed up for his mentoring program and we're friends.
Yeah.
We're peers. And I was like, bro, I gotta sign up for I want to take the elevator. I don't want to take the stairs.
Right.
He's like, hey man, you're more than welcome to join. We're gonna take care of you. Any questions you got me, you got Brandon. This is like a plug to the 7-figure cartel here. If you guys are listening, the amazing guys, right? And that's when I went from local to virtual.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we'll have to have another hour or so to talk about what happened after that. But and then I went a step further out and I said, you know what? I'm gonna train my guys down in South America so I can do this from down south.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's exactly what we did.
Beautiful.
And next thing you know, I'm locking up deals and selling deals with guys from my office in Venezuela now.
That's a beautiful thing,
right? So today they're working for multiple teams because I went away from the wholesaling, and what I did is I quarterbacked all these people to other people that are today they're in business. Shout out to everyone working with Top of the Line VA, all my friends that have worked with us or are working with us. But yeah, is an evolution of like where I was as a landlord. Today I'm in a complete different business model, right? And I enjoy what I do today more.
100%, dude. And this is like every we all have a story, man. And this is like I can relate to you. Is like, and obviously my story is like never give up, dude. The moment you give up is the moment you die, right? I always say that, like, you just gotta keep fighting. And I feel that every day is a war. I said every day is a war, right? You gotta go out, you gotta get up, you gotta be stoic. Us as men, we have to do what we have to do, even if we don't feel like doing it. Especially in this business. This is a hard business that, wholesaling, flipping, buying, holding. This real estate game is not a joke, right? And that's why there's only a certain amount of people that maintain and actually become, people that are
get on the they achieve success and they get up to the other side, right? Like
dude. But it's just like you have to have that mindset, and it's like for me that's what's always worked for me is like, dude, like I go to sleep at 9 p.m. every day. People know that. I wake up at 5, right? I'm in the gym. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I'm not out in the clubs. I'm not, excuse my language, I'm not out in the streets chasing bitches, girls, none of that stuff. I have a new girlfriend now, which is good. But I don't need to be going and chasing out girls and wasting my time and wasting my energy on things that do not add value to my life. Right? If whether it's a person, a product, anything that does not add value to what I am bringing to the table, then I'm not. It's not a part of my life anymore. So
that's good.
That's the mindset you guys have to have it. And
a lot of people, a lot of people wonder why they're not what they want to be.
And that's the thing, man. You got to block out all the distractions. If you want something, listen, you can figure it out. You can do whatever it is that you want to do in life. You just got to do it. You just got to block out all the noise and forget about the rest. And that's that's what I want to leave with, and just give that advice to people that are going through it or trying to get into this game or trying to, do anything with their lives. Like, you got to just lock in and block out all the noise and dedicate your time and effort into whatever it is that you want to do. And trust me, I'm living proof. I just turned 38 years old. I haven't been in this game for a long time. I'm netting 7 figures, and it's a blessing. Like, there's still numbers, there's still days, there's multiple times a day that I am number one, I'm grateful, and it's just surreal to me to see where I'm at in my life, doing what I'm doing. But it's just like me trusting in the universe, like you mentioned, trusting in God, and doing the right thing, and just applying, taking action, most importantly. And trust me when I tell you, dude, you can achieve anything you want. I'm living proof of it, and what you share with your story and my story, like, it's pretty much as a testament.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Jonas. Make sure you guys hit share, like, and subscribe. Jonas, how can people get a hold of you?
So people can get a hold of me. I'm very active on Instagram at Jonas Medrano. So it's JONASMEDRANO. And I'm very active on Instagram. So you can reach out to me there, follow me, hit me up, write me on DMs. Any questions, concerns, or anything you guys need that that I can help you and guide you with, hit me up there. I'm also in the process of developing my coaching program. It's going to be called Deal Flow Domination. So stay tuned for that. I'm very excited about that. And you guys will hear more about that in the next coming weeks.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. Don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. We will have a 10 growth in Tampa, Florida, June 27th, 28th. A whole new lineup of speakers, only for 200 people. The website will be out next week. Only for 200 people. We're not going to put a soul more than that in there because we want to keep it intimate and we want to make sure that everybody gets to network with each other and that eagles are flying with eagles. So with that being said, you guys have a great day and I'll see you on the next one.